Yes, yes, we are live, and I am live with, oh my world. I am so excited about this particular one because this is this is my this is one of my baby girls. Oh wow, it's so good to have Temi on this case study review. Oh my world. Tammy, I've known Tammy since 2015, 2016. Wow. 10 years ago, darling.
Wow. An
Wow.
actual wow. That's very true.
So it's not good to have now. Then I knew I was think tank Tammy. Now this is Dr. Eyitemi Fashion in the building. I am so excited to navigate this conversation with you because it's been quite a journey, right?
Mm,
Working with me, one, and then working in the Bold Brands Mentorship Program, which kind of like
mm,
elevated it because now it made me work with you more consistently.
mm.
So, first of all, tell us who are you and what do you do?
First of all, I must say that it's so good to be here like this, having this conversation. I'm excited about it. So, I am Africa's number one authority voice.
Africa's number one. Come on.
Yes, everybody should be catching up behind us. And I say that I'm Africa's number one authority voice because I'm very interested in elevating the way Africa is seen in the eyes of the world. I mean, there are 7 continents. And right now, Africa is seen as the least productive, the least serious, the poorest, the worst, and all the other synonyms that you can use to describe something that is not good in a category where other things that are good or better can be found. And so I'm very interested in changing that narrative. Not only am I interested, I'm already doing something about it. Many people are doing something about this same issue, but I'm doing it differently because I am doing it by changing the way research capacity is perceived by Africans. I'm doing it one person at a time, one organization at a time, one student at a time, one person at a time, just whatever it takes, whether it's a person or a group. I don't allow any conversation go uncompleted without bringing up the reason why research capacity must be important to your future and your destiny as a person or as an organization. And so that's why I said I'm Africa's number one authority voice. I'm interested in fixing Africa. I'm already doing something about it, and I do something about it every day.
Come on. So,
So,
what's your okay? Maybe we'll get to what you exactly do in terms of the organization and all of that. So, let's not even go into that. Let's start with before you met me and before you were engaged in the program, what were your biggest challenges? You know, in a way that you can really explain what were the challenges that you were going through before you met me, and then also back it up to before you started the coaching, the mentorship program.
hmm. So I had to sigh like that because it's impossible to answer that question without starting from 2016 when we first met. So when I met you, I was undergoing a certification course in Ibadan. Ibadan is one of the biggest cities in Nigeria. It's in Oyo State. I was undergoing a certification course in employability skills and customer relationship management. And at the time, my objective was just to get another certification that I could add to my degree in economics, my bachelor's degree in economics, so that when you are preparing your CV, it will not just be Bachelor of Science in Economics, there will also be certification in, because the mantra was get a certification. So that certification just looked like it. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew that, okay, if it's about employability skills, then it should prepare me for the world of work. I had to start from there because this is a me that I did not want to work in a bank. I mean, if you study economics, there are a couple of places people are already expecting you to work. It's either the bank or consulting or the bank. So they will tell you economics is very broad, you can work anywhere, but nobody was expecting you to really work anywhere. It was the bank or the bank. In fact, consulting was not number 2, it was maybe number 5. It was bank, 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 bank in consulting. So I didn't want any of those things. And I don't know why I still went for the employability skills course, because if you're not going to work in a bank and you're not going to work in consulting, please, why are you taking the employability skills course? Exactly. I didn't know. I just knew I was taking a certification I could add to my CV. And so we had a session where you were invited to speak to how personality types play out in the workplace. And that was where we were talking about the cool blue and the sunshine yellow and the fairy red and the earth green. Can't forget those color combinations. But there was a way you delivered on that, will I say, course or session that was deeper than the actual session. There was just something about you. Yes, it was a very enjoyable session, but I knew I had to go and look for this person after this session. I didn't know why. I did not know for what. I just knew we must find this person. And I remember coming to meet you after the session with a couple other friends that would just make us go further back down memory lane than we intend to. So I will not even mention their names. But I remember we came to you, and the session after the session that you had with us just sealed it. I mean, you were very warm, you were very welcoming, and you just seemed to understand what it was like to be a very young person that was just coming out of school and trying to figure things out. We did not immediately know how we wanted to proceed, though, or what we wanted to do. But we just felt comfortable enough to open up to this person. She seems to get us. And so from that time, I started to come to your house. Imagine somebody you just met, you allow the person come to your house. See. So that was where it started from. And I had to start from there to say that my journey with you started with me trying to figure things out.
Mm. I see that. I see where you're going with that.
So I've grown in my knowledge of who you are and my understanding of who you are, because I've told you in person a couple of times that my perception of you has evolved over time. And I think that evolution was happening because I was also becoming more and more aware about where I was in my journey and what was necessary for me to uncover what was needed in the moment. And so I guess I was just, and I am just blessed to have the same person show up at all those different points in my journey where I was really trying to figure things out. Not everybody gets to have that privilege, where it's the same person consistently from the time you actively start questioning your journey about 10 years ago up until now. Right. So coming from that place where I saw you as, oh, she's a senior friend, then it grew to, oh, this person is like a senior sister. So now this person is my coach. Career coach, life coach. It has been very interesting to see. I was trying to figure things out when I met you. I was really trying to figure things out because nothing that anybody wanted for me was what I wanted for myself. So
Wow.
to answer your question of where I was, I didn't
So
know
now
what I wanted.
that she didn't know what she wanted.
I knew that I did not want what they wanted for me.
For
I
me,
just knew I did not want what they wanted for me.
wow. Okay, so now how did we get to the point where, because I have the feedback from here, and where you're not like, okay, now the person that didn't even know what she wanted now became the person that felt pulled in many seemingly opposing directions, constantly overwhelmed. There was always a lot on my plate, and the components on the plate looked at the time like unrelated ingredients for unrelated meals. It's the articulation for me, like, oh my world. So now this is somebody that didn't even know what she wanted. But I know what she wanted. Now she's got so much and so many things on her plate, pulling out in different directions. And can you tell us a couple of the many things that were on your plate that now turned you from, okay, I'm figuring it out because I don't even know what I want, to now I'm figuring it out because too many things are pulling me in different directions. Can you speak to that?
Right. Um, so when I LinkedIn just last week, I was trying to figure out what I was going to study in the university. And a weird idea just came to me. Okay, what are your favorite subjects? Like your top four or your top five? So I took a piece of paper, I wrote them down. And the next thoughts that came to my mind was, so are there courses in the university that you could study that combine, are more like the sweet spot in the middle of all of these subjects that you like? Funny enough, them being my favorite subjects did not even mean I was the best at them in school or I was even getting A's. They were not my favorites because I was passing them in such an amazing way. They were my favorites because of how, number one, relaxed I was around them and how eager I was to read those subjects. So anytime I saw any of the textbooks for those subjects, I just wanted to open them and just see, okay, what's here again? And again, I was always eager for the teacher to come to class when it came to those subjects. So it was not even about what exam scores looked like. So I wrote out geography, physics, economics, and mathematics. So I went on, we had this desktop computer in our house at the time. And thank God there was power supply. So I put on the system, I went on a Google search. Oh, if I want to study a course in university, how can I combine these subjects? A lot of options came out. But the two I remember really standing out were energy economics and then urban and regional planning. I'm like, okay. So I did a little more digging in my own crude little way at the time. I mean, this is over 18 years ago. And then I just asked myself, okay, is there a scale of preference? Is there an order of priority to how I like these subjects? I discovered that, okay, economics was number one on the list. And then mathematics was number two on the list. And so the reordering of the subjects made it easier for me to pick between energy economics and then urban and regional planning. Energy economics became the obvious choice. But there was no school in Nigeria to study that for my first degree. And my parents had already said nobody's going abroad for their first degree.
Hmm. Okay. I think she's having some network, network. All right. While we are busy waiting for our heart to get the network fixed, you know, I'm just looking at the conversation, and I'm seeing the importance of our journey and how your story is the strength of your brand. Most of the people that I work with in branding, all that we do always comes off from their story. And that's because when it comes to branding, it's about narratives, it's about the conversations, it's about, oh, she's back. It's about the inner thing, you know. So the stories are just like the heart, where the foundation for everything that needs to be put in place for you to have a brand that will be authentic and bold. The story is the foundation for it all. So welcome back. Let's go back quickly.
So
She's
sorry
back in
about
the
the
room.
network glitch.
It's okay. It's
So I
okay.
was saying that taking a master's in energy economics showed me something about myself that I had not paid attention to before. It was the first time I was realizing that I was a multidimensional person. I did not recognize it, of course, in secondary school when I was seeing that I liked economics and then I liked geography and then I liked mathematics. Looking back on it now, is a weird subject combination to like, because economics then physics, really? Like, where, in what bucket do you want to put those two courses together? So energy economics, we were taking courses in law, we were taking courses in engineering, we were taking courses in renewable energy, we were taking courses in mathematical economics, we were taking courses in statistics, of course, we were taking courses in economics. And seemingly unrelated disciplines like that. Not only that, my classmates were coming from different backgrounds, different BSc backgrounds or BEng backgrounds. I mean, I had lawyer classmates, I had engineer classmates. So we were all, these different categories of people were taking the same courses. So it was interesting to see how the engineer would interpret the economics. It was interesting to see how the economists will interpret the energy law. I mean, I found myself teaching tutorials in energy law at some point. And this is me that did not study law before, and I've not studied law since. But that really opened me up to that possibility that I cannot be streamlined. I really cannot be streamlined. If not, I would just feel like you want to snuff the life out of me. So going from there to doing a PhD in economics with a specialization in energy economics, of course, was just an overflow of that realization that I came to when I finished or during my master's degree program. So it made it, even though a level of clarity had come that I was a multidimensional.
Hello. Okay. Networking.
Okay,
Okay.
can
She's
you
back.
hear me?
Back to back.
All right. So I didn't know what to do with the information. Am I supposed to go and work with an oil company? Am I supposed to go and lecture in the university? Am I supposed to work with a consultant? Am I supposed to work at an engineering firm? I did not know. I just knew I could function in a lot of spaces and there were a lot of things I could not necessarily do in the immediate, but I could adapt to be able to do because of my understanding of the fact that, oh, I'm a multi-potentialite. So that was another issue that came with that extra clarity. So I did dabble. I did a bit of, I was some professor's research assistant for almost a year actively. I volunteered to work at somebody's consulting practice for a while. I mean, I went ahead and did a PhD. So that's enough academia experience again to have said, oh, I work. So I did dabble into all of these spaces, and it only just produced more confusion for me. So I always had work to do. I was never lacking activity. There was always this research project, or there was this book for me to read. I love being around knowledge. So I always have something to do. If not anything, if I don't have any other things to do, I have research to do, right? So there was always work. Somebody will reach out and say, oh, please help me mine out this data. I need to use this data for a particular analysis. So I was doing all of these things, but I was just feeling like, okay, I'm just helping all of you, but I'm just drying up. I still felt like I was being trapped, even though I was doing a lot of things.
Mm. So you were doing many things in terms of output, but it still felt trapping. Like it didn't feel like you were offering your
Me,
own. Yes, you're
like I
not
was
offering
offering me.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly how it felt.
So
So
they all
I think
felt
that just boils down
they
to,
all felt all unrelated and disconnected from you.
right, right. And I think that's something that comes with exposure that people don't pay attention to. That when you're exposed to some possibilities, yes, they expand or increase the possibilities that exist to you. But I think it was Albert Einstein that was saying that the circle of darkness expands as the circle of light expands. So the more you know, the more you just find out that, oh, look, a little bit of a minute, I still don't know what I'm doing.
So you're saying that, and I mean, in the world where everybody just feels as if we're in the information age, go and get more information, just go online. There's YouTube University, there's this, there's that, there's
No, no,
that.
no, no. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I think that's one of the downsides to the age. So anybody that is going to rise above the spirit of the age has to be able to filter the information,
Come on.
because we're sitting in the middle of a lot of it.
So more information is not necessarily more clarity.
No, in fact, many times it's the opposite. In my case, it was the exact opposite. And it was tiring because you know so much. And to top it off, people expected a lot from me. Like this girl, she just seems to know what she's doing. She finished her BSc very young. She finished her master's very early. She started her PhD very early, the way we say early. So there was just this expectation of she always knows what she's doing. So imagine having everybody around you expect that, and you feel like, I don't know anything. Like what you people are thinking about me is not correct. I don't know anything. And it was frustrating because this is me trying to live up to what they expect and perceive. But then how can you be trying to live up to standards that you don't even have the requisite clarity to live up to? So it was always a tug of war. Like, I don't know. It was exhausting. It
Oh wow,
was
I love
really
that word.
exhausting.
It was exhausting because you are
Exhausting.
doing so much, yet you are
Hmm.
not hitting the mark.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go
Exactly.
back to um one of the challenges was you said it was affecting your personal confidence, and I'm sure on the outside people wouldn't have thought that your personal confidence was taking a hit based on
Hmm.
the way everybody is like, she's there, she's speaking. You could never have thought about it. So he said it was affecting my personal confidence. I rarely spoke about myself. I didn't know how to speak without looking confused and distracted. And then he said something, I always avoided conversations about myself. and the focus on one thing that I felt that I could explain well enough. The challenge here was that I was passing across different perceptions about myself so that different people thought I was different things. So now speak to that. Like, how do you on the outside look so confident? On the outside, you everybody's like, she's always there, she's always there. But you knew that your personal confidence was being edged away and swept away gradually. And you were always avoiding conversations about yourself. I mean, everybody should want to talk about themselves. So why would you be avoiding conversation about yourself? Can you speak to that, please?
I think going through that phase helps me realize something that I've heard you say before. I don't know if you remember it. That there are layers to confidence, from personal confidence to confidence when you show up in public. So I learned it's possible to have zero personal confidence, but then you know how to play along when you show up outside. You just know how to manage yourself in the room. Okay, if I mention this keyword and that keyword, everybody will still think that you know what you're saying. Yeah. So I mastered that. But then personal confidence was zero, which was why after I would speak maybe to a group, I would not necessarily want anybody to come and ask me questions in private, because then I would have to talk about me, most
Wow.
likely. And funny thing is, I'm the kind of person that can hold a conversation. So I don't run away from conversations. In fact, it is now that I am not a talkative much. I've in fact, my mom used to tease growing up that if Eyitemi is not talking, she's sleeping, she's eating, but she's not feeling well. Like I was always talking. So that followed me well into my adult life. There was always something to talk about. I could speak to subject matters, but me, as long as the subject matter was not me. So I was never lost for words or conversation, but don't ask me.
Wow,
Don't ask.
this is so profound. Like you said, like I teach that there are so many different layers and so many different types of confidence. So maybe I can have confident cooking skills. I can be confident with cooking, but I'm not confident with speaking. I'm confident with speaking, but to be able to say, wow, you had subject matter confidence, but you didn't have personal confidence. So that is so profound. I never saw it like that before. You had subject matter confidence that when it was about talking about what the matter in the
The
room,
subject for the moment. Yeah.
you could contribute to it. But when it was about talking about me, and that is very key when you now say you want to build a personal brand, because now it
Yes.
is you
You.
giving, introducing the human side to the subject matter that differentiates you and stands you out. But that conversation is a conversation you don't want to have because you do not have personal confidence. Wow.
Yes. That's exactly what was going on. That was exactly what was going on. I didn't think I was interesting enough to talk about. And not even interesting in the sense of trying to be self-absorbed or anything, but interesting enough to be able to inspire somebody to take some positive steps because they've listened to you talk about yourself. It was very difficult to do that.
I think this conversation now is actually making me see the real success in this journey.
Mm,
Because now you are on LinkedIn sharing about yourself, sharing about your journey, inspiring and connecting with
I
people.
couldn't do it before. It was hard. It was really no, 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 no. It was hard. In
If I may
fact,
ask, let's look at this because
yes.
I know there was a time we had a quick coaching. I had a quick coaching conversation with you. and it gave you clarity. You started showing up online, and you posted for 100 days straight.
105.
105. She said 105. So you're able to post 105 days. But if I may ask, those 105 days posting, were they subject matter postings or personal
Yes,
postings?
they were not personal posts. Not
Ah,
one was a personal post. Imagine. So you can see that I've never lacked what to say. I mean, what will you be saying for 105 days every day at a streak? And then not one of those posts is about you.
oh, wow. So this was you getting bold as a personal brand, not as a subject matter expert.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Oof. Okay, let's run. Let's run. Let's go to where you were with your. We're coming back to the journey that led to this boldness, but we want to talk about your brand and business. You said you were always constantly holding yourself back from sharing information. The vision of the brand was not clear. Talk to me, because I know that before the bold brand mentorship, I had a personal coaching time with you on your brand. So then you had launched your research company, your research firm. So by this time, we're having the branding, the bold brand mentorship. That research brand was there. You were doing your PhD, and you were in a job, Perry. You were just in a job and all of that. So tell us about what was happening in your business and your brand, the challenges that were there.
So the first time I came to you with my brand, with the research company, um, all I had in my heart at the time was an urgency to start out something. I knew it was going to be a research company. I had bits and pieces of thoughts around how we could run, but that was it. I was really eager to start. And it was very interesting because I was coming out of a season where I had worked somewhere and things went very badly there. So I didn't want to work. I did not want to do anything. I just wanted to sit at home and stay in my room and not show my face to the world. So it was weird when I started to have the urgency to want to do something that was work, considering where I was coming from. And so, well, I felt, okay, this is a good thing that there's a spark, there's still a part of me that wants to apply myself again. So what can I do to protect this spark? That was the place I was in when I was coming to you to say, I have this idea. I know it's a research company. I don't know anything else. What am I supposed to do? And I really want to do something about it. That meeting was very deciding. And you don't know. In fact, I think this is the first time I'm articulating it to you like this. Very deciding, very decisive, because the way that meeting went could have gone one of two ways. It could have killed the fire, or it could have gone the way it is currently going.
Come on.
I just knew I needed clarity, and you are the only person that came to my mind that could give it to me in any way, shape, or form. Some clarity will come. So having that session with you gave me enough to work with. I mean, that was 2020. That was early December 2020. And by December 27, we had our first event online. I was so surprised. 100 plus people registered to want to know how to do research. I was confused because
Wow.
I know that research is not something that goes down well with many people.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That was the immediate um, outcome from the first.
Okay, now I think we are both. Okay, now I'm
I think
back.
we are back.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the immediate outcome, the immediate successful outcome from my first session with you was that research meet and greet, not even up to a month later. Then after that research meet and greet, we got into a roadblock. So you have 100 plus people that are saying, okay, so what do we do next? And I had nothing. I mean, you have done the homework. You have been looking out for clients. You want people to come, and you have 100 and something at a go. And they are all waiting to hear from you. What next? We are ready. And there was no fuel had finished. I did not know what next to do. There was no structure. There was no understanding on how to build a community. There was no curriculum. There was no signature framework. Nothing. So 100 and something people slipped through my fingers. Just
Wow.
like that. And that's where we started from was very important. That your exposure to solutions can be good until it is not. The exposure has to be consistent. Who are you going back to every time to say, okay, we have done phase one, now phase two? What are we? I didn't have that. And for some reason, I don't know why I ran away from you in that period. Because in that period, I was not coming back. I was not saying this is what is going on. Everything was just falling through the cracks like that. So that was what it looked like to even start out something, to have clarity to a point, and then get some results, and then lose everything, and then you are coming back to zero. Although now looking back, I realized it was not coming back to zero. It was going to zero on a new level. So, and that had to happen a number of times for me to tell myself that, madam, have you forgotten where you went? Have you forgotten where you went to when this journey was starting out? So why do you think that you can continue without going back there? Because at that point, I made up my mind that I was going to sit down with you and let's let this thing unfold any way it wants to unfold, but let us be doing it together, right? And that was similar to what happened with posting for 105 days. You can remember how it started. Just one conversation with you, I was fired up to go and do 105 days. And then I stopped. So I think the gap there now, in retrospect, now that I'm thinking about it, is that I didn't stay in constant touch. I was not giving constant updates. I was not coming back to the drawing board consistently to say, now we've done this, what is next? How are we supposed to proceed? Instead of just going and run, just running. Somebody I know would say speeding off like a tornado. I'm forgetting that tornadoes run out of circular flow motion and then they have to die out at some point, right?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. I think that is drawing our attention to the power of accountability, especially
Yes.
when it comes to continuous clarity. Like I said, you always have levels. You always have levels. So the next level requires the next level of clarity, and you need accountability to stay consistent. I love that. Yeah, you were like, there was no consistency in process. There was no confidence in execution. Even when I would tell potential clients about our value point, a part of me would feel guilty that I was lying about what we could and could not do. Wow. So we could not
Right.
even start to set up a structure because we did not know how to begin. We did not know what was true about us, so we could not stay true to who we were. It was a
You
mess.
cannot, yeah, you
But
can't stay true to
let's move
a
all the
lack of
way
truth.
to the shifts, the transformation. What are the shifts? I need you to speak to. You talked about the clarity shift. You talked about the strategy shift. Um, okay, no, you talked about the clarity shift, then the scattered mindset that you had that was realigned, and then the strategy shift. Can you speak to that? The
So I think
shift.
I
Tell
already
me
spoke
about
a
your
bit.
transformation. Tell me.
I think I already spoke a bit to the clarity shift. The clarity shift came progressively, but the bulk of it happened when we started to have our bold sessions. Maybe because by that time, PhD had finished. Had it finished? Okay, no. Well, I hadn't graduated, but a lot of it was behind me. So some pressure from there had gone. I was not working. I had come out of the job I was doing. So let's just say I was not pulled in as many directions as before. So that was one factor, one very strong contributing factor. I think another strong contributing factor was the fact that the place I worked at really opened my eyes to aspects of the brand vision that I had not understood well enough, but were a potential top value stream. I hadn't, so I was coming out of that job with a level of clarity again. There was always a level of clarity that was leading to I need to talk to my coach. I need to talk to my coach. So coming out of that job, there was a level of clarity I came out with that I'm really, really undervaluing myself and my brand. There was an exposure that gave me to value that I hadn't recognized before. So I didn't know what exactly it was. I just knew it was time to up level. Whatever up leveling meant, I did not know. I just knew that we had been playing too small. We had been undervaluing ourselves, and it was time to do something different. And I was ready to find out what was missing. I really was ready to find out. So I came to each of our bold and alignment sessions with that we must find out the problem today. Like, what is that thing? We must find it. We must put a solution in place. There must be something for me to execute. I think I just trusted the process before it even started. Maybe because I also had already gotten a precedence of being around you and, you know, executing because I had gotten some clarity talking to you.
Mm.
So there was that, will I say, competence capital from your end that gave me enough to look forward to coming to those sessions. And I think that's a very important part of getting what you want out of anything, how you come and the posture of your heart when you come to get what you want to get. Because somebody else might have gone through the sessions and not necessarily gotten any of the things that I did get. So clarity shifts started from the sessions because I started to practically see that the root cause of me not up leveling was really that I was not looking at myself as a whole person. And so me not looking at myself as a whole person meant that anything I was doing was also seeming disjointed. So it was not even about the activity. It was about how I was perceiving me. That, oh, I am this person. I'm also this person. I'm also this person. And I was not seeing the harmony or the intersection of all of these things. So I felt like if I was going to show up in the academia, I needed to put on an entirely different garment, get into character, as the theater arts people will call it. Then when it's time to sit in a consulting conversation, I'll have to drag myself out of that academia space. In fact, if I was going to have a meeting, a consulting meeting today, I need to start removing my academia outfit maybe 1 week before, so that I can get into that headspace that can provide value on that call 1 week later. It was exhausting. So bold alignment sessions, first of all, helped me to see myself as one person that has only one message to give. No matter where you are, and no matter what you are doing, you are saying the same thing in 500, 1 million, infinity different ways. Whatever room it is, let them bring the room. We'll say what we've always been saying.
Come on. I love that. We will say what we've always
What
been
we've always
saying.
been saying. Any way it wants to go. So that was the first deliverance that happened for me, because every time I have stepped out after, even during those sessions and after those sessions, I've not felt the need to start preparing specially because it's this room we are going. If there's any preparation I really do, is to update myself on the subject matter. What are the current trends? But it's not that I'm scared that how will I show up in this room? What am I going to say? Nah. That was the first thing that's even changed. Of course, I've even spoken to the scattered mindset side to it already. That once I started to see myself as one whole person that was doing one thing, it immediately started to seep into that scattered mindset and piece it together. So strategy automatically followed because I was not trying to strategize differently and putting everything into clusters and into buckets to say, okay, today we're going to have a meeting on how I can be a better academic researcher. Then tomorrow's meeting will be for how I can show up stronger in my personal brand. Then next tomorrow, I have a separate meeting. All those things, very honest. In one sit down, I could just plug this here. I just saw them as pieces of the same puzzle. Okay, this one will stay here, this one will stay here, this one will stay here. The only thing was that, in fact, I think where the strategy really transformed was that I could sit down and decide that, okay, this week I will give 10% to this expression. So it was more of a time allotment thing than we are overhauling the entire system today because one small thing changed. So we have to overhaul the system again. And then, no, all of that wasn't necessary. It was just, this week we'll give 10% to this, we'll give 50% to this. Next week, it was more a time allotment thing. That's what strategy was more about at this point. And it started to become easier to even decide who I should collaborate with on things. So you already know who you need for this place, and you know what you are looking out for. The person does not have it. It's not a matter of sentiments. Sorry, I can't work with you on this thing. You are still my friend. But we can't do this together. So those were the two major strategy shifts that happened because it started with clarity shifts.
Come on. I mean, you're just breaking down, the whole process is alignment, which comes from clarity, now leads to easy integrated strategy. And integration is just knowing that based on seasons and strengths, there are now certain expressions that you lead with, and then you can distribute. Oh my God. Oh, you're making me go like, I want to start, talking about the old program, because the old program, for example, is about if you want to build for the long haul, you've got to um be building for the long term. And you cannot afford to be burning out. You cannot afford
Mm,
to be burning out. You cannot afford to be, just overwhelmed, and you're gonna just fizzle out, which is what a lot of
right.
people are going through. But I realize that the answer to that is alignment.
Mm,
And then you're able to integrate just having the right boundaries. And now that's what you're talking. It's
right.
just about time boundaries, professional boundaries, people boundaries, personality boundaries. Just come on, come on.
That's the strategy, actually.
That's
At
right.
the heart of it, strategy is a boundary conversation.
Yeah,
That's all.
that's it. It's
It's an
scopes.
optimization conversation
Yep, yep.
because resources are constrained and we need to do the best with what we have. So what do we do? That's where the optimization problem comes in, and that's what boundaries are about. You can't just allow anything into the space. But you don't even know what to keep out if you don't know what is core or what is central.
Wow. Let us go to the tangible outcomes around this up, because I am so super proud and super pumped about what has happened in the last, like from like half of last year till now, the men
Mm,
meetings. Wow. He said we have been able to start an expression that we thought we may need to wait 5 years to start.
yeah.
That is talk of speed when direction comes, right? You also talk about
That's velocity.
I'm telling you, you said we stepped out and started to build our paid self-paced online research courses. We've gotten more effective visibility. Some of your projects are 70% completed. The brand completely redefined its work relationship. I mean, a lot has happened. If you were to
Mm-hmm.
pick, well, if I'm looking at numbers here, you guys, it's mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? We've done
Sorry,
more than
I'm
three
trying
times
to
now.
join with. So sorry, I'm trying to join with my phone because the laptop is.
Okay, it's about to go off. All right, not a
Yes.
problem.
So I'm just trying to
So you
switch
said we've been able
devices.
to more than three times our gross annual income at the beginning of 2024. Three
Yes.
times more of our gross annual income. I'm trying to buy you time so that you can do your transition if you need to. It's okay. You can do your transition. And we also said we started out one of our expressions already with three clients. All entrepreneurs have been actively solving problems in their spaces for at least 5 years. And one has paid 50% of the standard fee. And we have been invited by three platforms to share our brand story. Wow. These invitations came from conversations where we were able to communicate our brand accurately, and we're able to go ahead and register the brand accurately after 3 years of lingering. We now communicate the brand essence. So I want you to let me get you on this. Can you see me? Can you see me? Can you speak?
Yes, I can see you. I can see you
Oh,
very well.
fantastic. Please, fantastic. You're down now. Let's go. Talk to the transformation. First of all, before
So,
all of these numbers and all of this, how does it make you feel to be where you are? Like, how do you feel where you are right now?
hmm, that question is more difficult than you think because I feel centered and I feel like I wish I had known this sooner. Like maybe straight out of school, straight out of my undergraduate program. I wish I had access to what I had access to last year in the bold and aligned sessions with you. Because before all of the figures, to be honest, the first win for me was that I could say no to some things. without the fear of missing out.
Come on. Kaya, I love
Without that
that.
FOMO. Without that FOMO, I see the way I can say no to things now. Oh my God.
You're bold involves
Yes,
boldly saying no.
yes. That's the first place for me because I used to be a big yes person. I'm even still, I cannot even say I used to be. We're still working on that. But I've come a long way, a very long way from the yes person I was in 2023. I will say yes to anything and everything because maybe if we show up here, this is the opportunity that will click for us, that kind of thing. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to put yourself out there. I mean, they say you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And I get that. But again, we are not taking misguided shots. We're trying to take calculated shots. So I was happy to say no to even taking some shots at all. Like, thank you. But this shot is not for me. I don't even want to hold the ball. I don't even want to be in the stadium. Don't worry. I'm good. That's the biggest win before we now even come to the figures. So saying no also meant I had to say yes to some things to replace the things I said no to. Because if you just say no to things and you leave the seat vacant, then that means you are leaving room for weeds, to just come and grow there. So there were a couple of things I had to say yes to after saying no to some things. Number one, we had to step out scared to have some conversations. We did it afraid, but we did it because it was threatening the core. It was threatening this hole that we just discovered and we are trying to guard jealously. Something wants to come and threaten it. Nope. So we had to have some hard conversations. We had to have some scary conversations. For example, I said that we started an expression that we did not believe we could start now, that we were thinking we have to start in 5 years' time. We call it the research flight expression. And summarily, what we do with that expression is that we help people trap their consistent industry message in publications so that they have an online footprint that anybody can come back to look at to say, oh, this person has been saying this thing. No matter what they are doing, they've been saying the same thing for a long time, which is very central to who I am, that I want to be perceived as saying the same thing all the time. No matter where I am, and no matter what year I am in, even if it's 100 years from now. So, and one of the ways we do that is to write and publish in academic journal outlets their signature frameworks as an organization, or that consistent value points that they are very proud about and they continue to prefer consistent solutions to, right? So we thought we would have to wait for a while, do Series A testing, Series B testing, we'll just have to do a lot of back and forth, make some collaborations with academic journal houses so that they can publish for us. An entire whole ecosystem you have to familiarize yourself with because you just want to prefer that one service. And then somebody just comes and she says, oh, she has a friend. She is the founder of a company that is in the same league as Money Point, and he wants to publish papers. And she told him that Research Ready Hub is up to the task. They will do it for you. And at first, I was going to say, who sent you? Like, why would you do that to me? We are not ready. Why do you want to throw me under the bus like this? Oh, my goodness. But I don't know how I found myself replying her to say, oh, let him reach out to us. We can handle it. I don't know how I responded that way, but I did. And he did reach out. And we had one phone call, and this man was just hooked. And the funny thing is, the reason he was hooked on that phone call was not because I had even promised that we could do the job. He liked me.
Come on.
This me that I've never wanted to talk about. On that phone call, we talked about me because he asked me about me. And I gave him a bit of my story and how I arrived at Energy Economics and Research Ready Hub. Just a bit of that. And he just loved it, that wow. So you mean this is the story behind you and your brand? I'm sure you would do great work for me. There was no websites. He didn't check any websites. He didn't check any company LinkedIn. He didn't check any company Instagram. He didn't check any company landing page. All of those things are great. And in fact, we should have all of those things. But that was not where those numbers started to come from. I was able to communicate me to this person. And then from there, he got so comfortable and he said, in fact, I don't want any other person to work on this thing. It has to be your brand. So what do we need? Please give me the invoice. Give me the budget. When we gave him the budget, he begged that, please, I know you should charge what you are charging now, but please, this is what I have. Can we start with this? And what he was even pleading to start with was not a bad figure. Actually, it really was not a bad figure at all. And that's the first person.
Maybe we should put it that it was something. It was even around over $500,000. So it's not
Yeah,
like a bad
somewhere
figure
around
at all.
that $500,000. Yeah. And this is
Oh my
somebody that has
word.
said he wants to publish at least 6 more like that with us this year, before the end of this year. And he has already been talking about collaborating with us on other things, introducing us to industry events. You guys, have you applied for this grant? He literally always looks out for us. He sees a grant or funding opportunity for businesses. He sends me the link. He has sent at least 6 between December and now. So this is not just a client that just wants to do work and go. He's now already interested in the brand because he has been able to connect with the story, the vision, and the belief of the brand. Because he is also an African authority person. The way I say I'm an African authority voice, coming from the research angle, he's coming from the access to credits, access to finance angle. So it's beautiful to see that we can even choose the clients we want to work with, because we want to choose clients that can help us amplify the voice that we are saying that we want to amplify. So any client or task that is not looking like that, we are happy to say no.
Wow.
That's just
this for me is at the core of what I mean when I say you're building a legacy brand. You're actually also acquiring and partnering with legacy clients.
yes.
Clients that will be sustainable. They're not just transactional, just do one thing for me and go. They are also transformational because they're on a transformation journey and they can see the partnership that can happen between the two of you. And that journey is not stopping tomorrow, it's continuing. So people do a lot of disservice when they just do, quick, smart, quote and unquote, branding that just makes them, just do a few transactions. And once you begin to think like a leader, a legacy leader to be precise, you know that you're not just building clients to have quick turnover clients that just go. You are building legacy clients. You're building people that will stick with you for the long haul, who will now watch out for you. I love that part of it because now they are not just connected to the service, they are connected to your story. So you are inspiring them, you are helping them with their lifestyle. And since their lifestyle will be forever, you are forever their partner.
Right. Right. I mean, this is a client that I can send a message to now just to check on him. How are you doing today, sir? Just wanted to check in on you. It's nothing brand related. I'm not even asking, I'm not sending you a message to give you update on the task. I just want to know how you are doing.
Your journey is very amazing for me. Well, this conversation, we can be here for like 2 hours or
Yes.
three, and we can keep going. And I just want you to finally speak to the Bold Brand Mentorship Program and what is inside, what the environment looks like, what the process looks like, especially looking at the highlights for you. What makes you say, okay, you know what? I love the numbers and I love the internet transformation, but also the experience. Yes, I need you to speak to the experience for me.
So I know a number of people that have been in a couple of masterminds. They've paid heavily to join this mastermind and that mastermind so that their brand can get transformed. They can get clarity that can translate into how they show up in their brand and how they can position their brand for value and all of those things. It's hard. Those masterminds take a lot from them. And when I say a lot, I mean they get drained emotionally, they get drained physically, and even psychologically. And every time I've had a conversation with them, I notice a thread, a common thread. That common thread is that now I've been exposed to a lot of information. What am I supposed to do with it? And this is after a very heavy, intense, in fact, the coach was very brutal, and all of those things. And you expect that, okay, with that level of intentionality, not to say the mastermind was bad, but the expectation is if I paid this much money and I gave this much time and I sacrificed this and I sacrificed that, and I even subjected myself to some brutality from the coach of the mastermind, there should be a commensurate. My brand should move from 0 to 100 real quick, the way we say it in this part of the world, in Nigeria, right? But they came back more confused. But in this case, with our bold and aligned mentorship program, it was intense. It was intense. There were days I was asking myself, who sent you? I was singing who sent you to myself. When we would have those calls for hours and you had to keep your camera on and all of those things, it was really intense. And all those points where we were bringing our seemingly disjointed stories, and it will first look as if everything has gotten muddled up. Just bring a lot of information about your childhood, about your secondary school, about your university, about the things you like, the things you don't like. I just throw everything on the table and they are looking like different ingredients to different unrelated soups. And then you just patiently start to pull out the connecting points. And we are like, are you trying to say that is this same thing I told you that is coming back to me like this? And it doesn't feel like you are forcing your opinion on us, that this is what I am saying that you are. No. We get it. It's just like somebody gets you and they are explaining to you what you've always known but could not articulate. And then the person is doing it with joy, and the person is doing it with warmth, and the person is just patient, and the person is just allowing you time to process. Typically, people that know how to help other people can be very impatient because they are like, I'm the one that is trying to help you. You are not even serious. Can you just, But the atmosphere is not like that here. This person is patient with you. Ah, no, Coach Ife, you are you are a special breed of human being.
Wow.
Patient, just calm, kind, and even information that is overload to me is not overload for you because you find a way to arrange everything. And I'm like, so why did I feel that it was even overload? In fact, now, once I'm experiencing overload, I know the next person I need to talk to is Coach Ife because it will make sense. It will just make sense. And it will not just make sense for the sake of making sense that we now know one more thing that we didn't know before. It will make sense in a way that I know what to do after that. And she will confirm that, yes, this is what you should do. In fact, have you thought about it this way and this way and this way? This is something I was not hearing people from other masterminds talking about. I was not hearing them say I was clear enough to move. Worst case or best case I would hear is I got more information. That was usually the highlights. But oh yeah, let's proceed. We cannot proceed. And then we start feeling useless all over again, and our confidence is ebbing away all over again, and we are feeling worse than we were before we even paid for the mastermind. This time we are even feeling worse because you paid, like money left you, hard-earned money left you, and you're feeling like that money just wasted.
Mm.
It's
Wow.
not the case here. So is this the point where I can tell everybody that they should?
Yes, if you were to encourage someone, if someone was doubting, I'd be like, well, I don't know, maybe you are like the person to say, they're supposed to meet you before they make that decision. Whether
Hmm.
now or in the future, what would you say about forget about even saying okay, and come into the mentoring program for the next cohort? I'm talking about how would you encourage or what would you say to someone to show them what you think about them embracing the bold and aligned branding system?
Except you are not particular about building legacy, which is fine. You don't have to be particular about it. You can be okay with knowing that the day you die, everything you worked for dies with you. That's fine. I mean, there are people that's what they actually want. But if that person is not you, this is me virtually kneeling down to beg. You have to be part of the value that Coach Ife gives. It's not even just about the mastermind or the mentorship program. It's about who she is. She's somebody you need to have in your space. She's somebody you need to have direct access to, direct contact with, and you need to do what it takes to have that contact. If you need to pay, if you need to volunteer, if you need to, whatever you need to do, just do it so that this woman knows your name. Because if you are going again, if you are planning to build something that outlives you, you might not even know what it is yet, but you just have the desire that there is more to me. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling overwhelmed. In fact, that overwhelm might just be an invitation to dig deeper, to come. It might just be that higher version of yourself calling you to say, sir, ma, you are not paying attention to me. You are paying too much attention to who you are right now. You need to pay more attention to that future you. So let's not being clear not be your excuse. Your lack of clarity should not be an excuse. Your lack of resources should not be an excuse. Your background should not be an excuse. Just find your way to Coach Ife, please. I beg you.
Wow. I mean, you just said something very, very profound. If you are committed to the future you, which is even
Yes.
futuristic enough to when you are gone. There is a
Mm,
level ground from which you need to be playing. You can't be playing
yes.
from any other person's level ground. And that level ground starts with alignment. I think one of the greatest things I'm taking away, even from this, our conversation, is how that in the world where there's so much information, you will drown if you're not aligned.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes.
alignment is how you eventually pick out what is relevant in
In
the
fact,
ocean of
yes.
information.
In fact, the picture that came to my head as you said that was somebody is drowning in a sea and there are many hands stretched out to pull you. Somebody's holding out a stick, somebody's holding out a rope, somebody's holding out an anchor, somebody's holding up this, somebody's holding up that, and you are still drowning.
Mm. You don't know which one to go with.
You don't even know which one to go with.
Too many options.
Right.
So now there is the drowning of your issues, the drowning of your own challenges and problems, but there's also the drowning of the many options of solutions that the information brings. But
Yes.
when you know who you are and know your core, you will know that, okay, I am not a fish, I should not hang on a hook.
Right. See, guys, see what I'm saying. She just gave it more context because when
Oh my goodness. Oh wow, like you have to be careful. You know how I'm gonna hook, but you're not a fish. Oh my word, she's somehow frozen. Oh wow, this has been so enriching for me. It has gone past the time. You know, she's a PhD holder, and her personality is cool and calm, and just saying it one after the other. If you notice something, you realize that there's just this core research person in her, and I just love how a brand is bringing research into the forefront. I'm personally research driven, research conscious, and I've had to go through research myself, started a PhD myself, going all of that. And all I do is research rich, research based, and to just be able to work with an authority, not just in her field of energy economics as a PhD holder, research voice, but also work with her in a personal brand as someone that helps to increase the research capacity of individuals and of organizations, which is the core of a personal brand message. And the core of everything she's saying is we need to raise the authority voice of Africans. We need to raise the authority voice of any organization. And we do that through the power of research. Because once you can engage research, you can improve your performance and your capacity so greatly that it elevates you to an authority voice. I mean, look at that. I'm a coach and I can articulate a brand. And I love that. So, this is me just encouraging you. If you feel like you are drowning in so much information and so much opportunities, you're not the problem. You only need clarity. You only need alignment. All right. If you also feel like you lack personal confidence, even though you are a subject matter expert, it is important that you gain back that personal confidence if you are going to build a successful and a sustainable personal brand. And this is where I have the curtain here, and I'll see you around. Get more in the YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on LinkedIn, Ife Adeagbo, and come and find out your authentic self. Align all your different expression into a powerful, cohesive, personal narrative that is not just aligning all your expressions, but aligns to your legacy. Because we are here for the long haul, across nations and down through generations. All right, have a great time. I'll see you around. Bye.